Oh, damn. We're in trouble now. Well, I kind of had a cool and exciting thing happen to me this week.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was going to say, that's where you're all like, yeah, what? I actually had a casting director reach out to me for a reality TV show. And he was all like, I think I follow you on social media, and I think you'd be really great for this reality show TV, and I'm like, great, awesome. And he's like, can I give you a call? I'm like, absolutely. And then he called me and we talked. He was a very nice gentleman, but I unfortunately had to decline the offer to be on that reality show.
Sure. What was the show about?
The show's premise was, and I'm not going to say the name of the show, but the show's premise was that you're a really bad cook, and then celebrity chefs would teach you how to cook, and then you compete for whoever is the best cook at the end of the series. They win $25,000.
Sure. And you didn't want to do it because you already know how to cook, and you're a vegetarian.
Well, yeah, because what it is because I actually watched an episode, and when they say like really bad cooks, I mean, they're really bad cooks.
Yeah.
Like somebody was trying to make chocolate out of vanilla extract, which you can't make chocolate out of vanilla extract. Somebody wanted to thicken their chili, so they put peanut butter in it. And, I think I'm a good cook. I just don't have a whole lot. I didn't have a whole lot of time to cook, but I know cooking fundamentals way more than that. And, well, that was weird.
What was that?
Your water bottle moved for some reason.
Cool.
Yeah. And I just felt like I would be
Brandon brought paranormal stuff over here.
I've been playing a lot of Phasmophobia.
Great. So, no, I just felt like I would have been compromised. I felt like I would have been lying, going there and claiming to be a bad cook when I really wasn't.
Well, that's kind of like the curse of reality TV, right? Like, people, I think, sell their soul to like get on television, and they're like, sure, I could not cook, or like, sure, I could, do this or that. Like, I think people are really excited about being on TV, that they'll kind of take the first opportunity they can. The fact that you didn't is good.
Yeah. Well, I told him, I said, you know what, keep me in mind. It's not that I'm opposed to being on TV. I just want to be, if I'm going to be on TV, I want to be able to represent myself for who I really am. And I actually told both Instagram and TikTok about it. And both of them, before I even told the premise of the show or the outcome of me not doing it, they were instantly like, no. They're like, no, TV, reality TV is scripted, and we don't want you to be scripted. And I was really kind of like, I was kind of like a little amazed at how adverse they were to me, like being on a scripted reality show.
So what kind of TV show would you want to be on if you had your choice?
I don't think I would want to be on. I mean, I was talking to him about it, and I know I can't do a dating one. That's not going to happen. No.
What if it was like a bachelorette kind of thing?
No, I'm. You know what? The whole thing is, I'm a little bit too competitive.
Well, if it was a bachelorette kind of thing.
Oh, where I would have.
And you were the only female, and there were like 12 competitors competing for your love. What about that?
Okay. In premise, that sounds really cool. In reality, I was just at the post office last week, and I was standing in line, and a very nice looking man was standing behind me. And he gave me one of these looks. And I was like, Yeah. Yeah. So then I'm like, oh, wow, somebody's paying attention to me, and he's really handsome. So I kind of got a little nervous, and then I was in front of him. So I went over there and I handed off my Poshmark stuff, and I was walking out, and he kind of gave me like a little head nod. And then I got really super flustered, and my hand slipped off the door, and I opened the door with my face. So I don't know how that would transition to TV.
I mean, I think that would make great TV.
Yeah.
I would be like every episode, I would come back with like a new black eye or, like more bruises on my face.
I'd watch it.
Yeah. So I told him, you know what, it has to be in my wheelhouse. It just has to be like an older, outspoken lady who is just super comfortable with herself. And if you can find something that fits my genre, then you know what I'm in,
Yeah.
You know what's funny?
What?
I keep thinking about this. So you guys know how I told you how I had sleep paralysis? and you guys
Yeah.
kept telling me that it was
Sleep apnea.
Yes. I have been thinking about this a lot lately, and I'm probably 100% sure that it is sleep apnea.
Oh, you mean exactly like the thing we've been telling you?
Yes.
This is so par for the course.
Well, because like I was thinking about it, I was like, I was sitting there. I was.
You snore really loud.
So do you though.
I don't snore.
Yeah, you do.
You
When's
snore
the last
like
time I
a
snored?
bear.
Last night.
No, I didn't.
Yes. Sometimes I will be like, Pa, what is that, Pa? There's a bear out in the woods, Pa.
And I think you're overestimating.
Well, I have little sleepy things to put over my nose. to
breathe
help
right
me-
strips?
Yes. But I was thinking about it. I was like, I could have just been like, half awake or
Mhm.
only like awake enough, but I was suffocating.
That's what sleep apnea
Yes.
Well, 100% think now it was sleep apnea.
is. Oh.
Well, I'm really glad that you came to that conclusion. I mean, Robert and I really are very sorry that we didn't tell you that sooner.
I
No,
thought
I've
it
been
was a-
telling you for fucking years.
I thought it was a demon.
Oh my god.
You did for many,
Well, did
many.
Brandon tell you what he's doing now that he's playing Phasmophobia on his
No,
video
but
games?
what is that?
So it's like a spooky ghost game where you have to go over, you have to figure out what kind of ghost you're dealing with, and then pretty much leave. But I don't like to leave, and I like to mess with it.
Oh
But I've
Lord!
been
So you're taunting the ghost.
yes, and I have been staying up later because now my mind won't go asleep.
Yeah.
Like last night, I kept thinking of Valak from The Conjuring.
I've never
that-
seen it.
Okay,
Oh yeah, no, you would not like that movie. Robert.
because like on the it's in the Conjurings and it's also in the Nun. But
Mhm. You
would
Valak is
not
like
like
a
that either.
crazy demon,
Yeah.
and my mind was going like insane. I was like, oh, I hope Valak doesn't come. And then the back of my mind is like, Valak, where are you? I'm like, oh,
Really?
Well,
Dude.
how about if you take some sage and then like after you are done playing, just light a little sage and then that will like get all the negative energy out of your apartment.
I could, but what's the fun in that?
Typical Brandon. It's like, here's the easiest solution. Brandon's like, "Pfft, no.
Yeah. Okay. 3 episodes from now, Brandon's going to be like, you know what, you guys?
Yeah.
I went to the farmer's market and I bought some sage.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's really cool. And it really worked.
Yeah. Somebody recommended soggy for me. You just light it on fire and you walk around and it smells like dirty hippie weed.
I'm literally thinking about going home and saging my apartment.
We have sage.
was
I
gonna
think
say
I
we-
have some too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
But-
really should. I mean, truthfully, because the other day, the other day, Robert and I, it's like just one thing after another was it was like everything was going wrong. You know, I recorded an entire YouTube without turning on my microphone. Your camera stopped working. That was where your autofocus wasn't working and you were using the hanger.
Sure.
And it just seemed like thing after thing. So I'm just like, yeah, no, this ain't cool. We just need to sage the house. And after that, it's like, it just is such a cool smell that it just gives you kind of like that feeling. So just open up your windows and your door and just sage and you're all.
My front door?
Just open up your back door.
Just your back door.
Okay,
Just-
yeah, I was
it
like-
has to go out. Because we don't want Pammy to get out.
Exactly. I was like, I got a tiny little.
So you sage it and the cat's all like, see ya.
I know.
Yeah.
She's like, nah, fuck you.
Have you met your new neighbors yet?
Not yet. It's an older couple. And like when I say older, I mean like 40s, 45,
that's
Now they
50.
live next to you,
Right
right?
across from
Oh,
me.
okay.
I haven't met them yet. They're quiet, so
There you go.
they're 100% okay in my book.
Cool.
I have no problems with them.
Now, I know that they're building those apartments down below you. Can
Yeah.
you see, I mean, when you look out, do you look out at the construction site? I was just wondering, because you have such a beautiful view, I was wondering if it was going to obstruct your view.
No, I think it's more of because like I look out and then there's a hill and then it's just below the hill, but they are
okay.
tearing up the entire like hill. Like it's almost a little sad to see.
Yeah, it was really controversial, actually, because people were really upset that they're just going to make more traffic in the busiest
Section
intersection
of town.
Yeah,
in town.
it's not going to be good. I mean that and like there's a pack of coyotes that live back there and I always like hear them and shit, but I haven't been hearing them lately.
They're probably relocated.
Yeah, they
Most
relocated.
likely. So I'm just like, well, that's kind of dumb. Like you just kind of killed out their habitat. Or
Yeah, but I mean, coyotes don't make money.
Yeah.
This housing project does.
Well, it's I think it's like a
Well, there's a certain amount of apartment buildings that are going to be for subsidized for subsidized income.
Yeah.
So, because every city, if they have to have a certain amount of or housing set aside for low income housing,
And that's what it is.
and that's there. I mean, it's going to be a mixture of both.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I mean, anytime that the city is going to approve something like that, it's to benefit,
There's
the city. They're not going to be like, oh, there's this really cute coyote
Yeah,
that
yeah,
lives there.
yeah.
there's 5 complexes around that new. It's gonna with that complex. It's gonna be 5.
But 5 of the oldest complexes in Temecula.
4. Well,
4 of them.
with a new one that's coming up. Actually, and then there's a one across the street, so that's 6.
Okay.
There's
Yeah.
6 apartments.
6.
You guys are the oldest people I've ever met in my life.
Why?
There's 6 apartment complexes, all dating 1984, with the all originality of original floor plans that all can be located within 3 miles of each other.
Well, that's just on there. And then if you go
Oh
up the
my
street a
God.
little
That's
bit,
not what I
there's
meant.
even more.
That's not what I
But
meant.
you know
There's
what-
2 over there.
I know what
There's
I'm saying.
3
I'm
over
saying,
there.
but what I'm saying is somebody who's listening to this is like, okay,
Well,
Oh,
I can
my
tell
bad.
you,
Yeah.
I can tell you the weather this afternoon in Lake Tahoe because I watch the weather so much. I'm an old person.
Oh, now it's now it's
You see
Yeah,
how-
you
you
see
see
how
how
this-
ringing in my head.
You
maybe
see-
like it transitions over to like maybe good content. People are like, okay,
now I'm just like, oh, who wants to talk
because
about?
you guys geek out on this stuff really hard.
But the cool thing is about your apartment, it is one of the older apartment buildings, but it's also larger than most apartment build. Like the new ones are much smaller. Robert, has anything exciting happened to you this week?
Yeah,
Regarding housing situation
Or just-
or apartment
just in
complex?
general.
life.
Yeah.
Nope.
Oh,
Yeah, pretty standard actually.
Your game's coming back though.
It is for a weekend.
Now, is it like out for good?
No, it's for a weekend.
Oh, it's only out for the weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, why'd they do that?
It's a test session, so it's very similar to like how they would for an open beta. They're just collecting data and sample sizes.
Oh, so does that mean, now, I'm sorry, I don't mean to geek out on you,
Sure.
but does that mean, so for this weekend, you need to play it as much as possible to get as much content as possible?
That
so
just means,
you-
that means I will only be able to play it for a 38-hour window.
Okay, so are you drinking coffee now, and when does it start?
30.
It starts 2 p.m. Korean Standard Time,
Which would be
9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time
tonight?
tonight.
So why
Oh.
don't you play?
Are you going to
For
play
48
tonight?
hours.
No, I'm going to go to bed literally right after this at 6:30.
Okay, Tug. Okay, so Robert, you tell me and Brandon that we're old. You eat dinner at 3:30 in the afternoon, and you are in bed by 6:45.
On the weekend, during the day, during the weekday, I go to bed at like 11:30 midnight, and so that I catch back up on my sleep cycle.
Yeah, no.
What time do you wake up on Saturday?
I'll probably wake up tomorrow. I'll probably wake up around 4 or 5.
That's so confusing.
How so?
I don't know.
How many hours a night do you sleep?
Probably about 4.
What?
Yeah, I sleep
What?
about 4 hours a night. Yeah,
Oh, because you go to.
because I
Oh,
go to
yeah.
bed at midnight and I wake up around 4 or 5.
Mm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
one thing I've noticed, you haven't been napping.
It's true. I have not been napping.
I hope it's not because, you don't feel comfortable to nap.
You mean like I don't feel comfortable sleeping while you're awake?
Yes, that's kind of what I was saying.
No, I feel very comfortable napping. I just don't have the opportunity to nap.
Because I was going to say, I can warm you up a little milk and put some cookies out for you.
There's nothing more revolting than warm
I know.
milk.
I don't know who would want. I mean, I like hot chocolate, but not warm milk.
You know what's funny? I went yesterday to get. So I've been on a real big like cookie bender.
Okay.
Like I love cookies.
Yeah.
So you guys want to know how to make the best cookies in the
Oh,
world?
you made
No.
cookies?
Pre-made cookies. So you know how to make the best pre-made cookies in the world?
How?
You mean the cookies that are already made and you have to warm up?
Yes. You
Okay.
want to know how to make the best pre-made cookies in the world?
How?
So it says time of 11 to 14 minutes.
Yeah.
Do it for 11 minutes, and they become amazing.
Oh, because they're all gooey.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you get the chocolate chip ones?
I got the chocolate chips and the sugar cookies.
Or did you mush them together?
Nope.
Oh.
They're two different days.
How many cookies have you had?
And the last week, almost 24.
Oh, well, you were
Okay.
definitely your mother's son.
Yes. Okay. I like how judgy you are. I'm sorry. You eat all the chocolate covered pretzels
I eat 3 a night.
and the peanut clusters.
I have 3 a night.
That sounds like a lie.
I look inside.
I don't want to.
Yeah. No.
I go home. I come home from the gym. I eat my dinner. I want something sweet, so I'll have a chocolate. I'll eat 3, and then I go to bed.
There's been plenty of times that I put a little thing of cookies in there, and I'll come back and there'll be like half a cookie left.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Open up the drawer of the cupboard right now. There's going to be all those cookies you bought way back when. I haven't touched one.
No, but the first night you ate like 3.
What, the first night?
That first night I brought home those peanut butter and chocolate
Yeah,
chip.
I had 2.
Yes. Okay. I'm just saying we all have our own little cookie guilt.
Yep.
I have 12. Like,
I mean, one's more severe than the other, but sure.
I have about 6 a night.
You have about 6 a night.
Well,
About?
okay, so we have been reading our book, Atomic Habits by James Clear, and we are on chapter 2. Yep. And this week,
I thought Brandon was going to do that.
No, he is.
Oh, okay.
I was just introducing Brandon.
Oh, okay.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Brandon will be leading this chapter 2, called How Your Habits Shape Your Identity and Vice Versa.
Hi, I'm Brandon.
Okay, we're not. You literally can't even go through the title. Stop.
Hi. I'm
Oh,
Brandon.
can I just say before that we started though, I do have from a very reliable source that one of our listeners, Hannah, listened to our podcast and she's been applying this, our reading and things like that to her day to day,
Really?
which is really cool.
So
Yeah.
you pretty much just said that so that I can take it seriously.
Well, that, and I'm complimenting Hannah for listening to the podcast and applying what we're doing, because it's obviously it'd be easier if she just like listened and was like, oh, okay, cool, sick. But the fact that like she actively like took the time to listen to this podcast and then apply it to her day to day life, I think is huge.
Well,
Yeah.
It should be a testament of like what we're doing is cool.
That's what I'm saying. No, and like
What do you mean? That's what you were saying.
That's exactly what I was saying.
That's not what you were
That's
saying.
exactly what I was saying, and I didn't mean it in like any bad way, because like Hannah's like that's like a role model type thing, dude. I mean, because it's not only like she gets to listen, she gets to apply it. So then that's also wanting to make me apply it even more.
Oh, okay.
It's more like
makes you want to not go hi. Welcome.
Well, I was just saying that as an intro for my name. I wasn't gonna do that for the entire book.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't.
I didn't say you were.
You gave me those eyes of you're gonna do it.
Well, because I know you enough to know that if I don't say anything, you'll keep going.
You see, but here's the
don't
thing
know.
is like, as the mom on the outside looking in, Brandon does that sometimes because he's a little nervous about doing that. And this is the first time he's
No.
leading
Are
the
you
chapter.
nervous?
I'm not nervous. I just wanted to do something funny and try to take off the edge, which you
What
guys.
edge?
There's an edge.
What? No, there has not.
I don't know, dude.
Okay, so the thing is like, Hannah, I am so glad that you're listening. I'm glad, truthfully, that everybody's listening and following along. I just wanted to say, every time that somebody reaches out to me on Instagram and says that they listen to our podcast and it has helped them find self-confidence and just kind of go forward with a whole lot of things, it is so humbling, and it just makes me so proud of what we're doing that I just want to tell everybody thank you for listening.
Yeah.
And I think it's amazing. So really quick, before we go into chapter 2, Robert, do you think that you applied anything that we learned in chapter 1 to your...
Absolutely. Absolutely, I did.
Do you want to give us a little example?
Well, I mean, I definitely applying what I learned in chapter 2 to my day to day. But it's all about rewiring how you perceive your goals, right? So instead of being like, oh, well, like for example, right? I've been going to the gym a lot and I'm like, oh, dang, I should probably start, like my diet is the part that I suck at the most. And so instead of being like, oh, well, my goal is to like, eat better or like to lose, 10 pounds or whatever before, you okay?
I just accidentally flicked the chair with my pinky.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I heard it.
So like my goal would be like, oh, let's lose this amount of weight, instead of being like, oh, well, this is my end game goal. I'm going to restructure everything. So I've been doing a lot more cardio in the morning and then at night. And then I've been, today I've been doing a lot of research on low carbohydrates, high protein meals, and just kind of just the overall like restructuring my diet. And so I'm checking all these systems in order to make that goal.
Yeah, because I feel like myself, I actually, because I've only been, this is my first full week in social media, but I feel that I've already started adjusting my my systems a little bit more. And even though we had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday last week, I felt personally that I've made some adjustments on what I do and when I do it, that my time management has been a whole lot better this week.
Brandon's done it too.
Yeah, no, because I mean, I'll wake up, I'll do what I need to do in the morning. Like I'll do my Instagram post, which going back to the first chapter, I mean, it was just changing the system. And so like I did my first, I did Instagram post, I think I almost said over the weekend, but today's Friday.
Today's Friday.
Yeah, so during the week, and then I just put out a TikTok today. So I'm just trying to like spread my little feelers around to get people over, and then like I'm also kind of learning more about the game I'm playing when I stream, so that I'm able to give advice and then also be more
Like entertaining.
And like engaging too.
more engaging. Yeah, because I mean, if someone has a question, then I'll just be like, yeah, no, it's this, and this.
Yeah.
So it's just easier to do that instead of just sitting there like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like
Google
I can,
it.
yeah, like I can tell you an answer, but I don't know if it's right.
Yeah.
That's good.
So with the second chapter, what I want to do is I want to read the first page because, again, I feel like it kind of opens up a little bit about the chapter.
Okay.
So the chapter is how your habits shape your identity and vice versa. So the beginning couple of paragraphs are, why is it so easy to repeat bad habits and so hard to form good ones? Few things can have a more powerful impact on your life than improving your daily habits. And yet it is likely that this time next year you'll be doing the same thing rather than something better. It often feels difficult to keep good habits going for more than a few days, even with the sincere effort and occasional burst of motivation. Habits like exercise, meditation, journaling, and cooking are reasonable for a day or two and then become a hassle. However, once your habits are established, they seem to stick around forever, especially the unwanted ones. Despite our best intentions, unhealthy habits like eating junk food, watching too much television, procrastinating, and smoking can feel impossible to break. And then I highlighted this little part. Changing our habit is challenging for two reasons. One, we try to change the wrong thing. And two, we try to change our habits in the wrong way. In this chapter, I'll address the first point. In the chapters that follow, I'll answer the second. So, I mean, it's pretty...
See, because I was going to say, when I read that first page, I'm like, what in the heck is he talking about? Because I really, at the beginning of the chapter, I had no idea where this was going to go. By the end of the chapter, I was like, oh yeah, no, I totally get that.
Yeah.
So,
because, I mean, you got to think about it. Like, you try to change a habit, but you don't know if it's the right or wrong one. You can just be changing something that's completely different.
right.
Like, something...
So why don't you tell them like the first like the
That's what I
different,
was gonna do.
sorry.
You're good. So there's 3 layers of behavior change. And it's think about an onion, right? So it says there are 3 layers of a behavior change: a change in your outcomes, a change in your processes, or a change in your identity. So the first layer is changing your outcomes. This level is concerned with changing your results: losing weight, publishing a book, winning a championship. Most of the goals you set are associated with this level of change. Thoughts?
Oh my. It's accurate.
Yeah, because what he's saying is, I mean, now let me ask you this. Do you think that he is saying that people focus on the long-term goal more than the short, how to get there?
Well, like he's saying, it's the outcome goal, right?
Yeah.
So that's what's the outcome of you changing your habit. The outcome is either you losing weight, you doing the race, you getting the promotion, and things like that. That's one of the driving factors of changing your behavior. And he's saying that like this is the outermost layer, which is the one that people tend to go to the most.
Right. So they're focusing more on the outcome of the changed habit instead of the changing the habit themselves, right?
Yeah. So like he's saying that it's easier because this is the most common, which is why it's on the outside, because it's the easiest to see, it's the easiest to grasp.
Yeah, like if you're bodybuilding, you're like, the outcome is get insanely swole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But nobody sees the system or what you have to do or how long it takes to get there. They just see the outcome. It's like, oh, okay, cool. I want to be a musician. Let me be a top musician like Post Malone or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just something insane.
Okay.
So the second layer is changing your process. This level is concerned with changing your habits and systems, implementing a new routine at the gym, decluttering your desk for better workflow, developing a meditation practice. Most of the habits you build are associated with this level. So that's the second one. The third one is the deepest layer is changing your identity. This layer is concerned with changing your beliefs, your worldview, your self-image, your judgment about yourself and others. Most of the beliefs, assumptions, and biases you hold are associated with this level. And then it says outcomes are about what you get. Processes are about what you do. So that's pretty
yeah, because
pretty good.
I mean, because what I was going to say is, I mean, he's going to get to that point where he starts talking about you have to change you before you change your habit.
Well, yeah, I mean, like Brandon said, at the very bottom, he says focusing on identity, who you are as a person, how you view yourself systematically changes your outcome and your processes.
Mm-hmm.
So like Brandon was saying, is at the beginning, he was saying that this is like an onion, right? There's different layers to it. The centermost layer is the one that provides the most growth and the most outcome in regarding to changing your habits, because it's easy to be like, oh, well, I want that outcome. So it's like, oh, okay, well, then I'll only focus on that outcome. And in the middle one, he's talking about the processes. Well, if I want, this goal, then I'm going to switch up, X, Y, and Z to get that outcome. And then the third one, he's talking about the identity.
Right. So now let me ask you this, because when I was reading this, I'm like, I have never gone into like any sort of change in my life like that, other than sobriety.
Sure.
But I mean, it's kind of cool. He's like saying like, if you want to quit smoking, consider yourself a non-smoker.
But we haven't gotten
Oh,
there.
sorry.
Do you want to keep reading? Because
Brendan.
there's a really good part on the second part.
You go for it.
It says, identity is about what you believe. When it comes to building habits that last, when it comes to building a system of 1% improvements, the problem is not that one level is better or worse than the other. All levels of change are useful in their own way. The problem is the direction of change. Many people begin the process of changing their habits by focusing on what they want to achieve. This leads us to the outcome-based habits, so that's the outer layer, right?
Mm-hmm.
The alternative is to build an identity-based habit with the approach of starting by focusing on who we wish to become. So it's like people say, dress for the job you want, not the job you have.
Yeah.
Establish an identity of somebody who's working hard, and then you're gonna. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm gonna be this person, and I'm gonna change my entire way of thinking, my entire identity as to that person.
Yeah. So you go in to out, not out to in.
Exactly. Yeah. So you start at your core, and then your core being, your core identity alters and changes to the outcome you want.
Yeah.
Now that could be also good and bad, right? So you can use that outcome to be negative or worse. You could be like, oh, well, I'm really bad at taking photos, so I'm always going to be a bad photo taker. Or like, I'm going to be a weightlifter. And so if you establish that identity, you're going to start making things into that change in that direction.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, keep going.
No, I was just going to say, because I like to read the little figures.
Yeah, go for it.
And the little figure at the bottom just says, with outcome-based habits, the focus is on what you want to achieve. The identity-based habits is the focus is on who you wish to become. So it's almost like, well, with the outcome ones, you're focusing on what you want to get instead of just like focusing on who you want to become. I mean, That's pretty much exactly what I just said, and I just repeated it. But I mean, it makes sense in my head.
Sure.
You know? I mean, like when before. Okay, so here's an example, because like I thought I was a very angry person.
Sure.
You know? I thought I was insanely angry. I thought I was
That was your identity.
Yeah, my identity was like, dude, I'm insanely pissed off all the time, or I'm just an upset person. But then once I started meditating, I was like, why? I think it was more because of like all the regret I had and the things I've done. And once I kind of went down to the core of it and I just accepted it, I think at that point I changed everything.
You changed your identity.
Yeah.
So you weren't Brandon the angry person. You were Brandon who was upset at your past. That is like where on go forgiving.
Yeah. And it just made everything so much simpler once I actually forgave myself.
Sure.
What is really interesting is 2 points right there, because Brandon, I mean, we went from being like, oh, Brandon's the angry one, to not seeing you that way. You didn't see yourself that way, and neither did we. So
why would you guys always saying it?
I don't say that.
I said it.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
You said it too.
I said I used to,
No,
and that since you changed,
oh yeah,
now it's like no longer, I don't like to perpetuate stereotypes. So I don't want it to be where, Brandon's always angry, Robert's always mean. To me, if you say it, then that's what it's harder to get out of that identity.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
And sometimes like, oh, mom's the goofy one. Well, you know what? I can be goofy, but I can be serious, And so I just was, what the point I was making, Brandon, is since you changed your own identity, I've seen you differently.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's true, because like you don't come off as what people perceive. I mean, like I'm pretty sure when I walk around, I don't look like the friendliest person, but at the same token, like I am a friendly person.
Well, there's a difference between how people perceive you and who you are and how you identify as yourself.
Yeah.
So you can look upset, right? Or you can look angry, but like structurally as a person, you could be the complete opposite. You can be super sweet and nice.
Yeah.
It's those people categorizing you as a mean person. That's what they're perceiving. You can't change that.
No, and I'm
know.
not saying that, but I'm
But
just,
here's the thing, Brendan, is I think that when you were an angry person, you had that persona and you had that look.
Yeah.
Because you really would walk around just and not glaring or glow, anything. I personally, I think on the outside, it's that persona is chipping away.
oh, 100%.
Because you don't have that angry look on your face.
No, I walk around with my head bobbing.
Yeah.
Like I've noticed that a lot. Like when I walk, my head just,
You have a big head.
I know it bobs. Like I'm just sitting there and like my head just moves.
Yeah. And then really quick, Robert did mention, how you were saying the example of like, oh, I can't take a good picture.
Mm-hmm.
For years, we said, for like up until just like a couple of years ago, we would always laugh and say our family was cursed because we couldn't take a good picture.
Yeah.
We couldn't take a good picture because that's what we were telling ourselves.
That was our identity.
That was our
Mm-hmm.
identity. And then once we've started this journey and we've been forced to be in front of the camera
Mm-hmm.
and we have just, we changed our own identity.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're like, yeah, you know what? We can be in front of a camera. We can take good pictures. We can be on video. All of a sudden that curse is lifted. And it's just the way, again, that we perceive ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really cool example.
Yeah.
Thank
you know what's
Mom.
crazy? You know what I was thinking about right now? We're always on camera.
A lot of the time.
Always.
Well, yeah. I'm on camera.
I would say about
6 hours a day.
I was gonna say about 12 hours a day. There's
Yeah.
some sort of lens in front of us.
That's just crazy. I don't know. I just thought about that. It was just crazy. And then I highlighted these next two paragraphs. Well, only
On the second
first,
page.
Yes,
On page 32.
32. Because I only highlighted the first sentence, but I like the entire
That's
paragraphs.
fine. Yeah.
So, and this one kind of resonated with me. So it's imagine two people resisting a cigarette. When offered a smoke, the first person says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." It sounds like a reasonable response, but this person still believes they're a smoker who is trying to be something else. They're hoping their behavior will change while carrying around the same beliefs. I'm just going to get over the second paragraph and then we'll talk about this one. The second person declines by saying, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker." It's a small difference, but this statement signals a shift in identity. Smoking was part of their former life, not their current one. They no longer identify as someone who smokes. And the funny thing is that I would be exactly that way. So like the first paragraph, I was that person.
You were the one I'm trying to quit.
Yeah, I'm the person. When I was quitting, I'm the person, like, I'm trying to quit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it was just more like, "No, dude, I'm good. I'm trying to quit." And then people would be like, "Oh, okay, for sure, good for you."
Yeah.
Instead of just like, "No, I'm not a smoker."
Mhm.
And then it was just,
Or no, I don't smoke.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like, no.
Well, they say like anytime that you put the word try into a sentence, like, oh, I'm going to try to be there on time, you're already implying that you're going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime that word try is in there, trying in your mind and your subconscious, you're already giving yourself the signal that chances are it's not going to work. But that one really resonated in me in my sobriety because I personally never identify myself as somebody trying to quit. I'm just somebody who does not drink.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's understandable.
That's always been my identity. And to me, it's like, before sobriety, after sobriety.
Mhm.
And this is just me after sobriety. So
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I think after like long enough, it's more like, no, I don't drink. Like, I'm not a drinker.
I am not, I'm not an addict.
Yeah. No, it's more, that's just the past life. It's not who you are now.
Mhm.
It's like,
But you can identify as being an alcoholic,
Well,
right?
yeah.
When I stopped drinking, I was like, no, I that's an interesting part because I never said I was trying to drink. I woke up one day and I was like, I'm not drinking. I don't drink anymore. And since then I haven't touched it. But it's like that. Once you kind of like identify it in yourself and you kind of like say it out in existence, you're like, okay, well, this is it. And it's a lot easier to follow through with those habits when you kind of acknowledge that, like, okay, this is the me, this is the identity I'm going to assume.
mm-hmm.
See, now, can I ask you guys a question a little bit off topic? Because when I talk about my alcoholism, I don't say I'm an alcoholic. I say I'm an addict because I felt like I had so many different things that were also too attaching to me. Now, two-part question. One, do you identify yourself as an alcoholic or do you even put a label on it at all? And does it bother you when I call myself an addict?
No.
Mm-mm.
I refer to myself as an alcoholic because that's what I was. And to think that to say that I wasn't, I think would be a lie to all I guess all my process of being sober, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think people put like alcoholic, I think they kind of, I don't want to say like they make it seem like obviously it's a bad thing, but being an alcoholic it's fine as long as you're not drinking, right? You can be a sober but still identify as an alcoholic. I mean, I like my process is I could never touch alcohol again. And just because I don't drink doesn't mean I'm not an alcoholic. It just means that I acknowledge in myself that I don't trust myself enough to pick up the bottle again.
Right, because and one of the reasons I was wondering is because the Sober app that I've been affiliated with, they're like, when you're telling your stories, just be really careful not to call yourself certain things.
Sure.
Because everybody has their own way of identifying with their own
That's fair.
issues. So I was just kind of wondering, did you identify what you just basically identified yourselves as, and then because when people call themselves an addict, everybody immediately goes like hardcore. And I just wanted to make sure that didn't bother you guys.
No. I mean, it's accurate. I mean, I'm an alcoholic. You've had multiple addictions. That would make you an addict. It's an accurate term. And I think the more you kind of talk about it, the more you kind of bring it into the public eye, I think the less it gets kind of like, I don't want to call it a dirty word, but the less it kind of like takes a stigma off of it.
Yeah.
Because like you say, when you say addict, people immediately go to like the hardest kind of rock bottom kind of scenario. And I think if you're like, oh yeah, I just can't touch it. I'm an alcoholic. Like I just can't stop myself when I start. I don't think making it a taboo word is what's going to help the process of growth.
Yeah. No, I identified myself as an alcoholic and a drug addict. I mean, I say I have an insanely, I don't really call myself an addict. I just more like, I was a drug addict and an alcoholic. Yeah. And that's just how I put it. I didn't have really any other.
There's really no other word that categorizes it.
And I don't want to say addict because at that point it's just like, well, I wasn't addicted to a lot of stuff, nor did I hit like heroin or meth. You know? I stayed away from that. That was like the two things that I stayed away from and that I wanted to make sure I never touched. But other than that, I don't really identify myself as.
See, I think it's really interesting, and I think it's very cool that we all three have our own journeys and we all identify ourselves in three different ways, but there's no right way or no wrong way. No. And again, the only reason I asked is because, like I said, sometimes like on the app, they're just like, you have to be really careful about what you call yourself because some people don't identify. So,
do you, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but do you think that they don't identify it like that because in some part of themselves, they're denying it?
Well, I think it's hard for growth, or I think it's hard for recovery.
I see. Okay, that makes more sense.
And also too, like people may not associate the word addict or alcoholic or things like that in a term that they're able to cope with yet.
Yeah. That makes that makes it a lot simpler. Because I was like, do you think that? I mean, just for some reason they're just not accepting the point. And again, there's nothing wrong with being an addict, but like in the beginning stages, it was kind of hard to be like, well, I'm not an addict, or I don't have a problem.
Oh no, it took me years to admit that I was an alcoholic, even after sober. Like I wasn't until because I've been sober for I don't know how many years, but
forever.
It wasn't until like year 3 or 4 that I was able to like be confident enough to be like, oh yeah, I'm an alcoholic. Yeah. So I can see why they're saying don't refer to don't kind of throw those words out like willingly or commonly, because it's a hard pill to swallow.
Because this like little exercise right here was just a really cool growing experience for me, and I know it's going to help me going forward, because like I said, we all have our own, we all identify completely different, and it's really cool, and I have to learn to be respectful of, I'm not really because I respect anybody, but I just have to be mindful of when I'm saying words like addict or alcoholic or drug addict, I have to say it in a manner that I don't like people like, Robert, if I looked at you, you'd be like, and you're a great addict. I know you're a recovering addict. You'd be like, no, I'm not. I'm a recovering alcoholic. Or if I looked at you and I'd be like, oh yeah, no, you're just, you're a recovering addict. You'd be like, no, I'm not, So it was like a really cool experience for me.
People categorize themselves differently.
Oh yeah. Cause I was like, no, dude, I already got over it. I was a drug addict. Well,
no, I'm just saying because
how you labeled yourself. You labeled yourself as an alcoholic and a drug dealer. Mom labeled you as an addict.
Yeah.
And so like people may not associate with that word, although they have their own different like meaning of
And also
categorization.
too, looking at it in a growing way, I could be like, I refer myself as an addict, and then all of a sudden maybe I'll lose credibility. Maybe they'll be like, oh, well, she had like bigger problems than I did, so her story doesn't rely to me.
Yeah, it doesn't resonate.
See where I'm saying?
Yeah, but the thing, the thing that I think about is that, all because, you're an addict, everybody that's an addict or a recovering addict or anything like that, everybody has something similar in themselves to even be in that path. So it's not like, this person had a harder time than I had it, so it won't resonate. But it's like, no, if you really break it down, you can find things in what you're doing to what they're doing, even if it isn't as intense. And it's still gonna, still gonna go down the same winding road,
Right.
Yeah.
And the fixing to that one is when I'm telling a story, we'll be like, you know what? I used to drink, gamble, smoke. I had no self-esteem, and I refer to myself as an addict.
Sure.
And so long as you put that out there, they won't be put off when they hear it, because they'll understand that that's just how I identify with myself.
That's fair.
So anyway, I'm sorry to get off
No,
topic.
you're okay.
It was just a really cool question.
Yeah. So I'm just going to go.
There's that paragraph below it too, if you don't mind reading as well.
The behind every system.
Above that.
Yeah, no, that's the one I was gonna. Yeah,
Okay.
That's the one I was gonna read. So most people don't even consider identity change when they set out to improve. They just think, I want to be skinny. Outcome. And if I stick to this diet, then I will be skinny. Process. They set goals and determine the actions they should take to achieve those goals without considering the beliefs that drive their actions. They never shift the way they look at themselves, and they don't realize that their old identity can sabotage their new plans for change, which is 100% true.
Yeah.
Because your old identity can be like, no, let's go out.
Exactly.
Let's have some fun. This is boring. I actually thought that all the time.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, dude, sobriety is boring as shit.
Yeah.
But once I got past a certain threshold, I was like, this is nice.
Well, that's your old
Yeah.
identity, right? Your
Yeah.
old identity as an addict or as a drug user or a drinker. You were like, well, I want to do something.
I wanna
I need that
party.
stimulus. you
Yeah.
know?
Like if I'm not partying or if I'm not doing something stupid, then this is boring as fuck.
Yeah.
Which 9 times out of 10, I was doing something stupid.
Yeah, that's fair.
Every single time.
But to me, it's like once you break through that, it's the most incredible. It's like watching one of those science fiction movies where they like go through the waterfall and they come out through the other side and there's like this really cool utopia. To me, that's what getting through that addiction barrier is when you get into that other little realm.
Oh, 100%. So I'm going to go page 33.
What about if you don't mind touching on the very, very bottom? This is behavior that is incongruent.
Yeah. So behavior that is incongruent with the self will not last. You may want more money, but if your identity is someone who consumes rather than creates, then you'll continue to be pulled towards spending rather than earning. You may want better health, but if you continue to prioritize comfort over accomplishment, you'll be drawn to relaxing rather than training. It's hard to change your habits if you have never changed the underlying beliefs that led to your past behavior. You have a new goal and a new plan, but you haven't changed who you are.
There you go.
That's I highlighted that. I like that one.
I didn't highlight that one.
Yeah, because I see, and I know I kind of jumped ahead before, but I won't say never really. I never looked at changing habits starting by changing myself. I never once even remotely even thought that process.
Well,
it's really cool.
It's the hardest one to find, I think, because it's easy to like he's saying, it's like the onion. It's easy to see the outcome goal and change to go after that, but it's much harder to like structurally change your foundation as a person, your identity.
Yeah. So I'm going to go at the bottom of page 33. The more pride you have in particular
can you read the paragraph if I really
the paragraph
like
above is pretty good.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Looks like you guys' highlighting is different than mine, but whatever, dude.
put all the bricks together and be all yellow.
The ultimate form of intrinsic motivation is when a habit becomes part of your identity. It's one thing to say, I'm the type of person who wants this. It's something very different to say, I'm the type of person who is this. That's actually it's powerful.
Yeah.
It's powerful. And then the paragraph below that is, the more pride you have in a particular aspect of your identity, the more motivated you will be to maintain the habits associated with it. If you're proud of how your hair looks, you'll develop all sorts of habits to care for and maintain it. If you're proud of the size of your biceps, you'll make sure you never skip an upper body workout. If you're proud of the scars you knit scarves.
Yep.
If you're proud of the
That's 'cause
scarves
that's like
you
hardcore knitting.
knit, you'll be more likely to spend hours knitting each week. Once your pride gets involved, you'll fight tooth and nail to maintain your habits. That's actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the paragraph below that one is true behavior change is identity change. You might start a habit because of motivation, but the only reason you'll stick with one is that it becomes the part of your identity. Anyone can convince themselves to visit the gym or eat healthy once or twice, but if you don't shift the belief behind the behavior, then it is hard to stick with long-term changes. Improvements are only temporary until they become a part of who you are, which is 100% true.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to read the little 3 bullet points, and then we'll talk about
And
it.
yeah, because I have a little point I want
So
to say.
there's 3 little bullet points, and it goes, the goal is not to read a book. The goal is to become a reader. The goal is not to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner. The goal is not to learn an instrument. The goal is to become a musician. Yeah, so I like that.
See, because this was really powerful for me today, because I was talking to Robert earlier, and I'm really kind of struggling with my identity.
Mm-hmm.
Because I went from being an escrow officer for years and years and years, where my office was my domain, and I was the captain of my ship.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've been kind of, even though I'm incredibly happy and I'm glad I did it, I've been kind of a little floundering with my identity.
Mm-hmm.
And it also, too, led me back to the first chapter of where he indicated on there, like, people say, like, well, if I do this, then I'll be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I do this, then I'll be happy. So after our conversation, Robert, and then after reading this chapter, I realized that I was kind of floundering around because I wasn't telling myself the type of person that I was.
Yeah.
It was really easy for me to, I can get emotional, but I'm not going to. But it was really easy for me to drop into the role of the escrow officer because that was like my persona.
That was your identity.
It was my
That was what you were
identity.
known for, and you were good at it.
Mhm.
And so it became like the self-fulfilling prophecy, where like this is my world kind of thing.
Yes, and it's almost like that scene of the Wizard of Oz where they get to the wizard and then they pull the curtain back and there he is.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like that kind of vulnerable the last 10 days.
That's fair.
So I know I've been a little difficult to be around, and I do apologize for that. But I didn't really know how to verbalize it, and I didn't really know what was going on until we had our conversation and we read this. So I decided today that, because we always go and we always get pizza and then have dinner beforehand, that while I was driving from the post office to the pizza place, that I'm going to start telling myself who I am.
Sure.
I'm going to start telling myself that, I say I'm happy, but I'm going to be that happy person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell myself I don't need to hide behind a facade of an escrow officer. I can be Lonnie Pike, the social media influencer.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's kind of hard to wrap my head around it, and I struggle with that. But I really feel like it's kind of meshing all together.
Sure. Yeah.
So I just wanted to let you know that, and to let you know that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did you guys highlight anything else on page 34?
Nothing on 34.
Okay. So then for page 35, it says, like all aspects of habit formation, this too is a double-edged sword. When working for you, identity change can be a powerful force of self-improvement. When working against you, though, identity changes can be a curse. Once you have adopted an identity, it can be easy to let your allegiance to it impact your ability to change. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you have adopted an identity, it can be easy to let your allegiance to it impact your ability to change. Many people walk through life in a cognitive slumber, blindly following the norms attached to their identity. I'm terrible with directions. And I'm looking at both of you fucking people.
You guys suck at directions.
Uh-huh.
No, we get there. We just don't get there in the form and the fashion of the way you get there.
Yeah.
And I don't really think you know where you're going. You just drive so slow, you end up there anyway.
I get there.
Because it gives 6 bullet points, and that was one of them. I'm terrible with directions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a morning person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bad at remembering people's names. I'm always late. I'm not good with technology. I'm horrible at math. And
Yeah.
I say about 4 of those things.
Well, it's easy,
Yeah.
right? It's an easy out, because you're like, oh, well, I'm not good at that. Like, it's fine. And it's like, it kind of feeds the bad habit.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So here's the kicker, though. If you find yourself saying these things and you want to turn around and say them differently, you have to remember to not say try. So let's just say, for example, you say, I'm horrible at math. don't say, well, I'm going to try to learn math. That's, again, implying that you're not going to make it. You would say, I am going to learn math.
Or I'm learning math.
Or I am learning math. Or I will get better at math. So you have to make sure that you put those formulas together in the right way.
Mm-hmm. And then a chapter down from that, it says, the more deeply a thought or action is tied to your identity, the more difficult it is to change. It can feel comfortable to believe what your culture believes, group identity, or to do what upholds your self-image, personal identity, even if it's wrong. The biggest barrier to positive change at any level, individual, team, society, is identity conflict. Good habits can make rational sense, but if they conflict with your identity, you will fail to put them into action. Interesting.
So, example of that? I'm looking at you, Robert.
Well, just another example. Well, he's talking about cultural things, right? Or just in general?
It's just, I mean,
because like another thing you can do the photograph thing. Like I'm not I don't photograph well,
yeah.
or like I don't take good photographs. So it's not so much that it's how you identify yourself as a person. So if you identify as somebody who's just naturally bad at photographs, of course you're going to find a bad photograph. It's kind of like.
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Continue.
No,
I'm done. Yeah.
Oh, no, I was going to say, to me, it was more like, a good habit can make sense, but if it conflicts with your identity, you fail to put it into action. I mean, would that be something like, cultural, like, your culture eats a certain food but.
No, it'd be like if you were overweight and you wanted to lose weight, you have that cultural identity of like, oh, well, my parents were overweight too. I guess I'm just going to be overweight.
Okay.
And then even if you do it with the group identity, it's like, oh, well, if I don't go out and drink, but all my friends drink.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, I kind of want to be a part of that group because we're friends.
Exactly.
Okay. I get it now. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then page 36, on any given day, you may struggle with your habits because you're too busy or too tired or too overwhelmed or hundreds of other reasons. Over the long run, however, the real reason you fail to stick with habits is that your self-image gets in the way. This is why you can't get too attached to one version of your identity. Progress requires unlearning. Becoming the best version of yourself requires you continuously edit your beliefs and to upgrade and expand your identity. This brings us to an important question. If your beliefs and worldview play such an important role in your behavior, where did they come from the first place? How exactly is your identity formed? And how can you emphasize new aspects of your identity that serve you and gradually erase the pieces that hinder you? That is a good point.
Right. I actually like the one sentence where he says progress requires unlearning, because a lot of times people think as change as they failed at something because they're having to do something different. Whereas in reality, it just means that you're growing.
Yeah. And failure is the greatest teacher, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you fail at something, it's not so much that you're a failure. You just have to unlearn the process of what you're doing and try it a different way.
Mm-hmm. It's not like a dead end. It's more of just like, okay, where can I go from here?
Yeah, we're like, okay, this doesn't work. Let's try a different aspect.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah,
thing.
because Brandon, you were even mentioning how, like, when we would get home, like when you would get home from work, you would go to sleep. I mean,
No.
that was, I don't know why I'm mentioning.
I don't know why either.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with anything.
Oh, because it says right here, like, but it says because sometimes like your habits, because you could say you're too tired.
But that's just not a habit. That's just
okay. Never mind.
stressed
Disregard.
Depression.
Yeah, I know,
Disregard.
right?
That's a topic for another chapter.
Yeah, it's like that really has. I didn't highlight anything else on this page.
Yes, and neither did I.
Oh, okay. Huh?
Neither did I.
Okay. So then that's just it for
For on page 36
to 37. I didn't highlight anything.
On 37, I did highlight, it says each experience in life modifies your self-image. So I think that was pretty cool. Just because, every experience that we have changes us, whether for the good or for the bad. Don't you agree?
Yeah, well, he kind of goes in a little bit more detail, but yeah, no, every experience we encounter, I think opens up new opportunities.
Yeah. If it's like detrimental or something amazing happened.
Well, you have to try things in order to like them, right? So you could try things and be like, oh, this isn't for me, or you can try things and be like, oh, hang on, I think I'm good at this. I think I enjoy this, and then the small opening, that small experience can lead to habits forming.
Right.
Even if it's something in like the past though, like let's just say Well, for example, let's just say, I crashed on my motorcycle.
Sure.
At that point, it would be an experience. Is it a good experience or is it a bad experience?
But I can teach you, it depends on the context of you crashing.
Somebody cut me off because it always happens.
Well, you didn't crash though.
At that point, I hit someone.
Okay, well, let's just not use that
Yeah,
one.
what a terrible example.
Because I was just thinking, it's a good and bad experience. Good.
How would you crashing be a good experience?
Well, what did I do wrong?
What if you're at a red light and somebody just hits you?
What did they do wrong? At that,
bad example.
Okay.
Bad example. I thought it sounded a lot better in my head.
Yeah. What if somebody walks up and shoots me? I learned a lot.
Yeah.
So what I want to read next is then at the bottom of the page it says, we do not change by snapping our fingers and deciding to be someone entirely new. We change bit by bit, day by day, habit by habit. We are continually undergoing micro evolutions of self. And I think that's really cool because a lot of times, and that goes back to like instant gratification, a lot of times people want to change really fast. And a lot of times on the lives, I'll have people being like, when did you get to be so confident? And I'll be like, well, I'm still on that journey,
Yeah.
I'm still evolving today. I mean, I'm a different social media influencer today than I was 2 years ago.
Sure.
So I think it's really cool to know that people's journeys don't get to a certain plateau and then stay there. Everybody is constantly changing.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to go one paragraph below that.
You're on what page?
38.
Okay.
So it says, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. No single instance will transform your beliefs, but as the votes build up, so does the evidence of your new identity. This is one reason why meaningful change does not require radical change. Small habits can make a meaningful difference by providing evidence of a new identity. And if a change is meaningful, it actually is big. That's the paradox of making small improvements. Putting this all together, you can see the habits are on the path to changing your identity. The most practical way to change who you are is to change what you do. Each time you write a page, you're a writer. Each time you practice the violin, you're a musician. Each time you start a workout, you're an athlete. And each time you encourage your employees, you're a leader. Because it's more of, you're telling yourself this, and instead of just like, I read this, so I'm not this. It's more of like, I'm telling myself that I am this because I am doing it.
Well, it's that self-fulfilling prophecy,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you're like, oh, well, I'm this identity, I'm this person, then you're going to start believing yourself more. Yeah. So if you're writing a page, if you're writing a book, and you're just like, oh, well, I write, I'm not very good at it, then you're gonna believe yourself. But if you're like, oh, I write a page, I'm a writer, I'm writing a screenplay, you're gonna believe yourself. Whatever you tell yourself is the truth. Yeah. Depending on what you tell yourself is the right or wrong way. Yeah.
And the funny thing about this is that, because I just started PC about a month ago, and I'm not really good on it, but I kept always telling myself that I'm not good at PC. Sure. Yeah. But after reading this, I was like, you know what? I am good at it. I am a PC player, this is just something that I am, instead of speaking any negative words to make it worse. And then I start making myself feel worse in a sense, because it's just bringing myself down.
Well, it's small steps to progressive growth, right? Yeah. I mean, he mentions that on the next page.
Yeah. But as a family, I've seen a lot of personal growth in all of us, because and I hope everybody out there who's listening, I hope you know that we're going on a journey as you're going on a journey. It's not like do you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's not like we're all like, hey, you know what? We've already done all this. We're
not at the finish line.
We're not at the we're by no means near the finish line. And it's been really cool, and it's been really inspirational and an honor for me as a mom to be on this journey with you, because again, I've seen a lot of personal growth amongst all of us. Just by the simple way how we're even like referring to ourselves and our journeys. We never would have done this a year ago.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. Who wants to just stop learning or stop progressing or stop changing something,
Well, I think it's easy to. I think it's out of the two options, I think it's the easier to not try.
We all were like that. Truthfully, we were all stuck in a rut of not kind of in a rut where I think I can't speak for either one of you, but I was in a rut where it was like everybody else is going to be happy but me, but I'm okay. It's just the card I was given. And I never allowed myself to be happy because I kept on telling myself that wasn't my that wasn't my destiny.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I'm telling myself something different, it's been cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay. So page 39, second paragraph. So it goes, new identities require new evidence. If you keep casting the same votes you always cast, you're going to get the same results you've always had. If nothing changes, nothing is going to change. It is a simple two-step process. Decide the type of person you want to be and prove it to yourself with small wins. Like you were saying, Robert.
Yeah.
It's just small wins. You know, it's like, you know, you can't, even like on page 38, you know, where I said small habits can make a meaningful difference by providing evidence of a new identity. You know, everything starts by small habits, by small increments. You know, you can't just leap and jump boundaries and be like, oh, this is who I am.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, there's an African saying, right? How do you eat an elephant? Just one bite at a time.
Yeah.
And even just like just a couple minutes ago, Brandon, where you're all like, I used to tell myself this, and now you're not going to tell yourself that about like the PC anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think you just changed a habit.
I did. Yeah. And even if it's not like in a like, well, the habit is how I speak to myself, you know, like what kind of motivation am I giving myself? You got to think about it. Like, you know, we are in our heads most of the time, like not just
We're
us,
in our
but
heads 100%
general
of
of
the time.
everybody. And like, I want to say a lot of people in the world, all they are is just in their heads. It's like, well, if you're in your head, how do you speak to yourself? You know, do you speak to yourself negatively? Do you put yourself down? Do you not motivate yourself? You know, I mean, people look for motivation outwards, but the first thing that starts is motivation inwards.
Yeah.
You know, we have to have the drive.
I actually just did a YouTube on that this week,
Oh,
and
fun.
it talked about your inner monologue and about, because the way I put it is, you know, you have to stop and listen to your inner monologue, because when I finally did, I didn't realize what a bitch I was. And I was saying some really horrific things to myself. So I put it as, if whatever you're telling yourself, think about it this way. If some stranger walked up to you off the street and said those things to you, what would you do? You would be like, don't talk to me like that. You know, you might punch them. You know, you wouldn't allow somebody to talk to you that way. So you cannot allow yourself to talk to yourself that way.
Yeah, and like in the book that I also recommended was The Untethered Soul.
I'd like to do that one next.
He touches on that. He's like, imagine the inner monologue as a friend. You know, would you let your friend speak to you that way? And you're like, fuck no. You know, I don't want to let some random person talk to me the way I talk to myself. So on page 40, I highlighted the first paragraph. I guess I could just read the entire paragraph.
Yeah, go for it.
So once you have a handle on the type of person you want to be, you can begin taking small steps to reinforce your desired identity. I have a friend who lost over 100 pounds sorry about that. Something fell in my hand. By asking herself, what would a healthy person do? All day long, she would use the question as a guide. Would a healthy person walk or take a cab? Would a healthy person order a burrito or a salad? She figured if she acted like a healthy person long enough, eventually she would become that person. She was right. The concept of identity-based habits is our first introduction to another key theme in this book, feedback loops. Your habits shape your identity, and your identity shape your habits. It's a two-way street. The formation of all habits is a feedback loop, a concept we will explore in depth in the next chapter. But it's important to let your values, principles, and identity drive the loop rather than your results. The focus should always be on becoming that type of person, not getting a particular outcome.
Yeah.
Which is 100% truth.
Yeah.
Because like, say if like you failed at something, you're like, oh, well, you know, I can't do this anymore. I failed, blah, 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 blah. Instead of just like, dude, we tried. Let's continuously try.
Yeah.
And at that point, you're giving yourself another stairway to climb up of instead of building a wall.
Well, that too. You're like, would a successful student quit? You know, or like,
No.
would a successful student not study, or things like that? There's different ways in which you can like rewire your way of thinking. Very similar to like how his friend did, by saying, you know, would a healthy person do this? Would a healthy person do that? You're basically giving yourself that option. And if you want to meet that goal, if you want to meet that outcome, then you have to make conscious, small, systematical habits changes to the right process.
So I think, and here's what I think we should all start referring to ourselves as to what we would like. For example, I'm going to start telling myself, I am a social media influencer. You need to start telling yourself, I am a streamer. You know, start telling yourself, Robert, I am a YouTuber. We need to start projecting out who we want in order for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you agree?
Yeah, I do.
Thoughts?
Yeah, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? It's
Yes.
exactly what he's saying. He's saying systematically you have to change the identity of who you want to become, whether it be good or bad.
Right. And I think, and it was really cool because as you were reading that paragraph, Brendan, I think a part of my, my last week, I've been like a little overwhelmed with all the changes, and I've been kind of like, my little light's been a little, overcast. And you were reading that paragraph and I'm all like, I am a social media influencer,
Yeah, that's the truth.
you know, and I'm going to start being like, hey, you know what would this person do? Or what would I do as a social, what would I do? It'd be like, I'd work hard. I would make posts. I would go live. So it's actually working really well.
Good.
Yeah. And then last page, it's going to be, ultimately, your habits matter because they help you become the type of person you wish to be. They are the channel through which you develop your deepest beliefs about yourself. Quite literally, you become your habits. And that's the chapter.
Also, can you touch on the paragraph above it too?
The building better ones?
Yeah.
Okay, so building better habits isn't about littering your day with life hacks. It's not about flossing one tooth each night or taking a cold shower each morning or wearing the same outfit each day. It's not about achieving external measures of success like earning more money, losing weight, or reducing stress. Habits can help you achieve all these things, but fundamentally, they're not about having something. Yeah, they're not about having something.
Yeah.
Habits can help you achieve all these things, but fundamentally, they're not about having something. They're about becoming someone.
Yes. So again, he's talking about you're changing your identity.
Yeah. Yeah, like I just said, you're a streamer. I'm an influencer. Robert's a YouTuber.
No. And then just chapter summary real quick. And then, so the chapter summary there are 3 levels of change: outcome change, process change, and identity change.
Mm-hmm.
The most effective way to change your habits is to focus on not on what you want to achieve, but on who you wish to become. Your identity emerges out of your habits. Every action is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Becoming the best version of yourself requires you to continuously edit your beliefs and to upgrade and expand your identity. The real reason habits matter is not because they can get you better results, although they can do that, but because they can change your beliefs about yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was truthfully, and I'm always saying this, I think that things manifest exactly when they're supposed to. And I read this exactly when I was supposed to today.
Yeah.
You know.
You okay?
Sorry, I had a sneeze and I got a
choked up,
tickle in my
huh?
throat.
Yeah. Now, I would like to vote to continue to do our lives on Sundays.
Sure.
And I think that maybe what we can do is we'll have lunch beforehand, and maybe.
Well, can we do it Sunday night?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, are you available Sunday night?
I mean, I guess we are now.
Or you guys can do the live without me. It doesn't. It doesn't
Why
take
is
3
it because
people.
you're going to be streaming?
Yeah, because I'll be.
Oh,
playing the
then let's
video
just
game.
do Monday then. If
Okay.
because if it's only through this weekend, let's just do the live on Monday.
Well,
Okay.
if we do Monday, we're going to have to do like the morning.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
works.
that's perfectly fine with me, Robert. I thought, for some reason, I thought the 36 hours or whatever was going to be over on Sunday. But no, let's just do Monday morning, and we'll just do it then.
Okay.
That
yeah.
works.
Yeah, because you need to be back in streaming by 11, right?
By 1.
By 1, yeah. Monday morning's fine. Because that will be the day that we actually release the podcast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I think it'd be good.
Yeah, I like that. I really like this chapter.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good one.
Yeah, thank you for
You did really well reading.
You really did.
Thanks.
Oh my God.
And truthfully on this chapter, I felt like we all kind of like jumped in a little bit more and had more opinions. So I think as the book develops, we'll probably all have like a little bit more jumpy jumps.
Chunky
Yeah.
jumpies.
It's a good book so far.
We'll do the jumpy jumps.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is we're going to be airing this on a Monday. I love to hear any feedback. You can find me on Instagram. That's the easiest place to message me. I am Gray Hair and Tattoos on Instagram and every other platform known to civilization.
I'm Don't Die Disco on Twitch, and then Gummy Bear Brandon on Instagram, and then Don't Die Disco on TikTok.
And Robert is Robert Pike on Instagram, and Sherbert on TikTok and YouTube. And until next week, I appreciate you all immensely. And we will. Robert, is everything okay? Okay. He looked up like there was like a grizzly bear standing behind me. It's all right, you guys. So we'll see you next week. I appreciate you all. Bye.